If you think about all of the applications that you...
So with AI, that's kind of...
Boom! Welcome to the 8th episode of Access 360 podcast. We've been doing this for a number of weeks now. It's been a lot of fun having a lot of conversations. We say it is where people, ideas, and conversations come to evolve and chew on things and mastermind. And so today we are pleased to have a special guest who's actually one of our Access Virtual Staffing favored clients. And I'll do a more appropriate introduction in just a moment, but I just want to say, hi, Terry, how are you?
Hi, everybody.
Good to have you here. How are you doing today? Are you having a good day, hectic day? You got some Christmas music in the background?
Yeah, well, it's Christmas music as early as Christmas music as possible in our house. So it's like November 3rd, the Christmas music remains on until it's over and we mourn. So that's fine. I mean, we're always busy over here, so that's just the norm.
Very good. Well, I certainly have some Christmas lights going up in our neighborhood. Starbucks just handed out a red cup as a souvenir yesterday with a purchase of a drink. And let me do a quick intro. So, and Terry, you can like enhance it afterwards, but I just want to say a few words about who I know you to be, and then we could take it from there. But so anyone who may be tuning in, Terry Moy is the owner, the founder, the CEO of Favored Events, and this event management company came to be and has been on a trajectory ever since. And more recently, I had the pleasure of meeting Terry at the NCS event, the New Canaan Society event, at which Favored Events was hosting the event. And so I got to work with Terry in different capacities because I raised my hand and said, hey, I'll be part of the production of this or the support of all of it. And that led to us getting to know each other a little bit better, understanding business is a little bit better and ways in which we might be able to partner in different ways together. And I think it's led to Terry's company being a major client of ours as Access Virtual Staffing. We say our most favored client, because if Terry calls, I pick up the phone and make sure that we get things handled and taken care of. But sorry, what would you say? You want to give like a little snapshot of who you are and what your business is?
Well, honestly, it just made me sound a little bit like mafia. So I really appreciated that. That is excellent. And I like to be that cool. So yeah, we actually accidentally started. I tell everyone that it truly was a complete and total accident to have an event management company. So it started because I quit my job and I said, I'm going to raise my daughter. And then people started calling me when they found out I quit, and they were like, hi, can you run our events? I'm like, no. Like, no, why would I do that? That seems like a total waste of your money. That was literally my conversation with a lot of people, and they're like, well, we don't want to do it. And I'm like, okay. So I just picked up a few events for a couple years, and then my daughter went to school in 2023, and I thought, oh, maybe I really have a company. And that's really how that started. So I actually, and fun fact for business owners, when you have tax fund things that you don't know, and then you have to close down to completely reopen, that's actually what happened in the beginning of 2023 anyway. So I actually rebranded with Favored Conferences and Events because I was DBAing and I just had to, for various reasons of unhappy times and switches, I closed down and reopened the same year. And then I was like, oh, I guess I have a company. So since then, I actually really tried in 23, brought on people and brought on a person at the end of 23. And then it's just tripled in clients and growth, and it just keeps coming. And I don't understand why. So it's pretty great. That's where we're at.
That's a good, I'd say, challenge, problem, happiness present to have is like, I don't know where all this is coming from. And well, we might have an idea. We might have an idea of who might be providing it one way or another. So that's exciting. I want to introduce our co-host, Tony. Tony, good day. How are you? He's recovering, I think, from a little health challenge. But Tony, how are you today? Oh. we might not have Tony. Tony may have dropped off. So hopefully health is not that bad. But with that, Terry, there's a couple of things. I know we've got a shortened period of time, so I hate to be flying because I like to pause and slow down and really like one of the things that I think is important that I've appreciated about your leadership is the way in which you care about your people, your clients. Maybe tell us a little bit, like I'd say, tell us a little bit about that, but also where does that come from? Because it's clearly how you show up, but I'm curious where that actually comes from. If you like look and you say, oh, this is where I got that from.
That's interesting. So I guess I've never really thought about it. Part of it is just a natural instinct for people and loving on people and caring about people. That's just sort of been part of my DNA, I guess, forever. But you know, fundamentally it has a critical thing to believe with my belief system and with my faith and grounded in God and love. But also, I think historically, I was raised in a family that was very much integrated into community. So we just always had people in our home. So hospitality has run deep, and I probably picked up event management just from the fact that we never not had things happening in my house from the time I was born. So you just sort of learn that connection and care for people. And so we have sort of adopted that when it comes to our clients or the team. You know, they're part of we tell people you're part of the favored family now. And we do genuinely treat people like family. Sometimes our internal family fights because that's just life. But I would say, as a general rule, once you're favored, your family, and we take care of our people. We're very much more of a concierge type event management in that we're very whatever you need, we can generally provide it, and we make sure that you're taken care of and that you enjoy the work and the events and that um, you feel you know calm, I guess. Like people don't realize that they get into an event and they feel scattered or they feel overwhelmed or they just don't enjoy anything because of so much work. And we try to alleviate that so people feel, comfortable and they actually have a good time.
I love that. And it's not what I'd say is it's not a talking point or like window dressing, just to give that feedback. In my experience before it was even a business conversation between us, it was I'm at this event or I'm part of this committee for this event, and I just realized that Terry's the most like hardworking, genuine, authentic, but also like not minimum standard leader, like maximum standard leader. And I'm not just going to try to do things so we can get by. Like, how do we make this the best event? How do we fix this thing that's out? And how do we do that at a level where the people who show up are like, this is special, like this is well done, this is taken care of. Have you, in your leadership, have you had, I mean, you have a team and obviously you're now, expanding the team. Has that been a challenge for you? Because you may inherently have the standard at which you operate, but now that has to carry over into how your people and business operates. Anything there? Has that been a challenge? How do you look at that?
Yeah, it's always a challenge. In fact, that's what I just dealt with prior to this call of something that wasn't done in the way I would have done it, nor to the standard I think it should have been done. And so I think part of it has been a personal challenge as a leader to say, okay, it's not going to be done in necessarily the exact same way I could do it initially, or there's going to be a level of growth that everybody on the team has. And it's going to take time. And so I think that's where, as a leader, it's been the hardest challenge that I've had is first imparting knowledge, but then also trusting that the people will get things done and being okay with accidental failures, and I think that's the reality is that there's never not going to be things that don't go perfectly. And there's going to be things that people are going to do that are not incorrect. And then you just course correct and you have to say, okay, like the fact that you took initiative and that you tried, even though it was totally botched, what's our next step? Like, how can we grow from this? How can we, course correct from this? And are you willing to learn from it? Or are you going to blame somebody else for your imperfections? So like there's a certain level of I expect everyone on my team to be diligent, but not perfect. And if they're diligent and not perfect, they have to also be willing to own their mistakes and correct them. And then we grow. And so it's just, it is what it is. And I think that that's, hard for anybody. I'm more on the perfectionist side than probably is healthy. And so I think that's probably a harder struggle for me than it is for some.
Yeah, well, I think it's a challenge for all of us as leaders as we grow, as business grows, as team grows, or even just new teammates come into the fray. And how do we lead? I'm reminded of my slogan from high school, which was grit and grace, because what comes up for me with you is like you have a beautiful way that you bring grace to situations, to your team, but sometimes the grit part of it is like we might have to knock some things into alignment and make sure that things are taken care of properly, and that's not always an easy thing to do. But
Yeah.
how do you look at grace? And maybe this is a good segue just for a quick thought on how your faith integrates with business for you. Like how do you mix the two? How do you look at the two?
Sure. So faith is the core of who I am. So it's obviously going to be the core of everything I do business wise. And I think that that's apparent with how I act, how I lead, or at least I would hope it'd be apparent with how I act and how I lead. And it's apparent with the fundamental I say guiding principles of how we run the company. But at the same time, people would say, oh, it's a Christian company. And I don't necessarily uh, say that, because I don't think that you have to label a Christian company in order to have the same value proposition and value system. Because if you do that, you're isolating the opportunity for people to come into the fold who are going to present opposition. And I will tell you, you can ask anybody on my team. I do not mind having people who I'm working with who have a difference of belief system. It's fine. Because whether or not we agree fundamentally on everything faith wise, it's about respecting each other and understanding the growth opportunities on both ends. So I don't mind being challenged. In fact, I have a couple of team members who challenge me, and sometimes I have to like cringe as a leader because I want to throw something at them. And then I recognize their challenging me is only going to improve the team. And so if I am not afraid of the challenge and the conversation, then our team is stronger. And it allows other people the opportunity to feel free to converse, to share their opinions, to, um, openly dialogue with each other. But there is a strong level of respect and grace that is themed throughout everything we do. Everybody on the team knows the one thing I do not tolerate is um, is like a disrespect for each other. Like that does not fly. You do not disrespect another person on the team. If you got a problem with the person on the team, deal with it. You're an adult. Like deal with it and then let's work it out.
Yeah, I think it's not an easy balance, but I think that's a valuable place because I've been learning about how do you show up in the marketplace. And I'm earlier maybe on my walk, but it's how do we engage, encourage, and make sure that everyone is welcome and inclusive, and we're not diminishing our faith. It's more just this is who I am. We can act in the way that we've been taught to act in godly ways, and that doesn't like we love everyone because that's actually what we're taught to do as believers is to love the Lord our God with all our hearts and to love our neighbors, whoever those neighbors are. And sometimes that can get sticky and challenging in business, but that's where we get to grow, I think, as well.
And
So
yeah,
yeah, go ahead.
No, I really think that if, you know, I pray over. So I started this long time ago. I don't know. I don't know if this is a secret or should be a secret, but it's just how I am. So every time we get a check from the client, like if we get a check in from an event, I'll just put my hands over it and just pray it's blessed and then put it in the bank. And then I'm like, all right, that is multiplied. I just pray over it, pray that it's multiplied, pray that it's blessed, and then just walk away. And people are like, you do that? I'm like, I do that. And I don't know why. It's just an instinct for me because for me, everything I do, I want to, glorify God. But at the same time, I want to live supernaturally natural. I heard this as a kid because you can live through a faith but in a natural world. We do not live in a bubble, so we should be able to function with people and communicate with people without over spiritualizing things or over emphasizing stuff. But you can be guided. I mean, there's something to be said. If I don't have a peace about a decision, no matter what it was, whether I've prayed about it or not, if there's some sort of like, it's probably a bad idea and I probably shouldn't walk in that path no matter what. And so I've just learned to kind of trust a little bit more of those instincts and also lean into a lot more counsel.
Yeah, I think, well, it's an interesting, I think we grow as leaders too, because sometimes it forces us to confront some things
Sure.
that we might not have had to as a result of just being in situations. It's like, oh, how would I adjust to this situation? And how is
Yep.
God leading me? Maybe did we just find out, by the way, the secret sauce to your success? Should we
I
all
should
be
pray over my money. I don't know, man. Try it. It's worked so far. Like things just sort of happen.
well, because we have to cut this short and wrap up in like 5 minutes. What is one thing that you would say, like you said, hey, I don't know why this is working the way it is, but I I'd like to say like we could probably hypothesize, but like for you, like what do you think has been part of the secret to your success and how well things have been going? Obviously, I think God's always playing his
Sure.
role, but from a business perspective, if like you're like, hey, this is a good business tip, what are you seeing?
I don't know. I mean, I laugh because I don't know if I should ever speak to that, but because sometimes it feels like I stay lost in business in general. And my whole team knows like I won't, and maybe that's one of the keys. Like I will never not own my responsibility on contributing to a problem. So when it comes to even like the virtual assistants that we have, I laugh because I sat down with one to kind of do a performance review and I'm like, let me own that your job was harder this year because I got scattered with not as clear deadlines that you needed to be successful. So I need to grow. And I think that as a business owner, you have to be able to understand that no matter what inconsistencies or, you know, failures that happen beneath you, you own them. Like anything that anybody does on my team, if they come back to me, they're like, I botched this. I was like, well, I will own that botch. Like, you're my
Mm.
team. Like, I'm going to back you. I'm not going to run back over you. And I'm definitely not going to go to a client and be like, you know what happened is one of my employees was real idiotic and did this. No, I'm going to say, you know what? My team's growing and I failed to monitor that the way I should have. And we're improving this process as a result. And thanks for, being patient with us and giving us grace in this area that we're growing as a team. I think you just have to own that. If you can own that, there's just a level of transparency as a business owner that clients appreciate.
Yeah, I've heard it said in different ways, whether it's extreme ownership or extreme responsibility, but it sounds like that's just a core of how you operate. And I got to imagine inside of a business, it's like, oh, I have in some ways permission to mess up and say I messed up because I know Terry's going to have my back. Now we also have to deal with it and fix it and make
Yeah,
sure that my behavior as someone who's working for Terry, like improves so that this doesn't happen again. Like we need to be accountable for that, but also
sure.
like own your mistakes. Terry's going to
Mhm.
own it with me, and then we're going to figure out, ideally,
Mhm.
how to sort through and figure that out. Anything else on that? I have a couple more questions, and then we can wrap up.
I think we're good.
How about you've had an experience, we'll do a little personal plug here with ABS
Mm-hmm.
and like being introduced to virtual staffing. What would you say like your thoughts were starting out, and now maybe just what value have you seen?
Well, starting out, I was like, this is going to be great. It's going to be so easy. That is a lie. It's not easy in the sense of monitoring. It really required me to do a better job of monitoring. And I'm not a micromanaging boss, but I have to be more hands-on with a virtual assistant and also really get out of my complete first world mentality, which I didn't realize was a problem. And I'm like, wow, I have issues. Because you really just, if you can understand a little bit more about the culture, and that's the other thing, like these are people and they have become part of our favored team, like our family. And so when they're struggling with things, like we want to know, but we want to balance that with, okay, are you being efficient? What is it that will help you be more successful? So I didn't realize that it was going to take as much work. That's on me. But I didn't also think it was going to be as productive and amazing for our team. So at the same time, is worth every ounce of work and struggle we have because it's increased my productivity just hugely.
Yeah, I think that's sometimes the biggest challenge, especially if somebody's new to this kind of support system
Mhm.
and worker. But on the other side of it, if you can figure it out, master it, and have it work for you, like our insurance business now has 70 virtual assistants that have saved millions and millions, like literally millions and millions of dollars for our business now over
Mhm.
years. It's highly valuable. It's like getting over the hurdle, but that's also whether it's US based or Philippines based or other
Sure.
based, it's how do we optimize some of our people and systems and processes?
Mhm. Yeah, and really it is system and processes, and how do you build those where it's transferable? And in what we do, it's not transferable skills that are as simple as here's how you enter data in a spreadsheet. It's like, wow, I have to teach you a concept of what it looks like to do a conference, and you've never attended a conference in your life. So you don't have any sort of comparable knowledge base. I'm like, how about a birthday party? Have you ever been to a birthday party? Let's talk about what those, but it's been very unique. And I think even across the board for my US base, same thing. Like helping them understand all the different elements because everybody thinks they can plan events. But then when you start to plan the level that we're planning, everybody's like, oh, I had no idea. And I'm like, I don't. Nobody does until you do it. So it's made it interesting.
Well, Well, this has been certainly way too short. There's like three other stories that I want you to tell and other things that I know are there. So we're gonna have to pick this up another time. But just to close it out, anything that you would like, I think this is an audience of people who are just looking to do better in business, whether they're leaders, whether they're learning. Is there any like one tip that you've just learned in your career that you would like just part ways with us with?
Yeah. I mean, outside of the standard, like you really need to have some systems and processes in place. I think that's pretty much normal, and everybody should do that. But the one thing I would say is celebrate your people. Do not be afraid to celebrate their successes amongst the team and celebrate them because your people become loyal when they feel valued and they want to excel and they want to have the same shared ownership. What I hear most is business, nobody else will want to have your success of your business as much as you are as a business leader. And I would push back on that because I would say most everybody on my team is just as invested as the success of Favorite as I am now because they share in the same celebrations, successes, and failures that I do because I
Mm,
cultivate that. And because I cultivate that, they feel just as much a part of the company and feel just as much value because I value them. And every year I do an event for them and their families. Yeah, it's money, but they get to be a part of something. They get to bring their families in, and they feel taken care of, and they have just as much buy-in as I do.
What a great closing thought, parting idea is like, yeah, how do we bring our people alongside us that they have the same, like, and that could be part of the responsibility too, is like, if my team isn't as bought in as I am, maybe I need to think about why that is, and how do I create a culture and environment such that that be, so to speak. Beautiful. Well, Terry, thank you. Again, sorry, so short and sweet. How do people find you? What's the name of the business? Where do they go if they want to chat with you or the business itself?
Yeah, so I mean, although it's a longer Favored Conference and Events, you can find us on favored with a D dot events. That's our website, and search us out, send us contact information, and we're there.
Beautiful. Well, Terry, thank you. More to come, and have a great rest of your day. We'll talk soon.
All right, you too. Thanks.